right, a lot of y'all submitted Catlick questions. Going to try to cover as many as I can. Here we go. Question number 1, why is it called Catlick? The answer is coming. There is a reason, and it will be revealed in a future episode, so keep listening. Andy asks, how did you make the connection between the Atlanta Ripper and Mitchell? If you remember from an earlier episode called Black or White, I actually investigated the idea that the Ripper might be a white man. So I began searching and Googling. In that research, I came across an article from a black newspaper in New York called the New York Age in 1912, and they suggested that there were multiple crimes in the South being committed by white men in blackface. So obviously, pretty intriguing angle, so I began investigating that. And then I stumbled upon sort of clippings from this weird story out of Thomasville from 1908. So just began digging into that, tracked down about 100 different sources connected to that whole crazy story. And it just became really plausible that he could have been the guy doing the Atlanta Ripper murders. Next question, what was it like when the Mitchell evidence became available? Did you freak out? Yeah, I actually did. It was very exciting because when I Googled around, I realized no one had really written much about this whole Mitchell and Lucille Linton case, and they certainly had not connected it to the Ripper. So yeah, it was definitely a mystery I researched and sort of chased for several days, but a lot of compelling evidence and was a pretty interesting mystery. Lots of William Mitchell questions. Here's the next one. Mitchell had small feet and small frame. Could he be the tall description? I bet this person is a Vault subscriber because they probably saw his passport application, which I posted there, which shows his height. For those who saw the passport application, his height was listed at 5'7", which doesn't seem that tall, but I actually did the research and discovered that 100 years ago, the average height, I think, of a male was like 5'4", I believe. And so in theory, he was a little bit taller than the average, so it makes sense that he would have been described as tall if he was wearing blackface, trying to assault Addie Watts and the other girl that sort of got away when they saw him. So, yes, it was rumored that the Atlanta Ripper was tall. We don't really know what that means. Was that 6 foot? Was that 6'5"? Or was it 5'7"? We don't really know, but it is possible that he would have been viewed as tall-ish, particularly to a smaller woman. Last Mitchell question, have you had any contact with Mitchell's descendants? Several people have asked this. I have not. Apparently there are lots of different sort of Mitchell families that were around Thomasville at the time that all this drama went down. I would love to talk to somebody who maybe has some kind of oral or family history about this guy. I think it'd be really fascinating, but yep, haven't talked to anybody yet. No one has reached out. I have spoken with a couple folks at the Thomasville Historical Society who pointed me in the direction of some additional sources of research, so that was helpful, but no Mitchells yet. Couple production questions next. This one, do you edit the episodes yourself? That is a big fat no. I do a lot of things with this project myself. Editing is not one of them. My producer, Ducey L., who lives in Nashville, is amazing. She does all the editing and sound design. Next, how far in advance do you record? Currently, a couple of days, 3 or 4. It's been a little bit of a tight timeline, but we're going to get better in 2020 and record more episodes in advance. So yeah, we're recording week to week. How did you learn the art of storytelling? Well, I'm still learning. Got a lot to learn. But I've been, telling stories in various capacities pretty much my whole life, since I was a kid, high school, college, and work. Storytelling is gut-based, meaning like you just keep doing it, and over time you see how people respond and what hooks people and what puts people to sleep. And, you just kind of hone your craft and try to get better based off of feedback and responses. But there is sort of a formulaic aspect as well. There's a guy named Sean Coyne who has a book called Story Grid, which really has made a huge impact on my storytelling. I applied a lot of his methodology both to Blue Babies Pink and to Catlick. So it gets a little technical. It can be a little bit heavy at times, but if you're serious about becoming a better storyteller, I think Sean Coyne's stuff is about as good as it gets. Next, did anyone oppose the story being told, perhaps because it exposes racism in Atlanta? The answer is no. I mean, not yet. No one has vocalized or verbalized anything or said anything hateful or negative just about the general arc of the story. I'm sure some people early on probably listened to some early episodes and felt like it was too racial and just bounced and didn't listen anymore. I'm sure that's happened. doesn't really bother me. You know, there are people out there who they're uncomfortable with talking about racial things, and they think that it's, unhealthy, or it's just dredging up old hatred. And, I mentioned in episode 1, I don't believe that. I actually think it's healthy as a culture to know our history and know our past. I think there's a wrong way to approach it and a right way to approach it. And so what I'm trying to do is to, broach some of these really difficult topics in a way that's engaging, it's informative, and hopefully high on information and empathy, but low on rhetoric or, just unnecessarily being inflammatory. So that's what I'm going for. Hope that makes sense. How did Walnut get the middle name Ridge? For those who don't know, we have a cat. His name is Walnut. His middle name is Ridge. If you listen to Catlick, you'll hear that the executive producer of the show is Walnut Ridge Harmon. This is obviously just a silly joke. One commenter on Apple Podcast reviews, talked about how stupid that was, that my cat was my executive producer. And I just want to say, lighten up. It's just a joke. It's silly. All these other podcasts have like 1 million staff, and I have like 1. And so my cat makes 2. But to your question, Walnut's middle name is Ridge. It comes from a town in Arkansas called Walnut Ridge, which happens to be the hometown of my husband and I's old roommate, Ryan Belcher. So it's in his honor, Walnut Ridge. What's the deal with the ads? They're loud and weird. 2 things about the ads in Catlick. Number 1, I don't control the content of them. I don't have like deals with these brands. I don't even know what all the ads are, and I don't control the volume. My podcast publisher inserts them. Next, are all 4 stories interconnected? Loosely, sort of. They're not all like perfectly tied into some grand scheme, but some characters overlap. Of the last 2 stories, one story sort of has an influence on the other. So yeah. Can my company sponsor an episode? The answer is yes. We are open to any and all potential ad partnerships. Yep, we're getting 10,000 listens per episode, so we've got some great opportunities out there. Slide into my DMs. Next up, what's been the most challenging part since starting Catlick? I definitely think finding my voice sort of in the story has been tough. It's very different from Blue Baby's Pink, which was kind of personal and moody, but this is more of a historical narrative. Yeah, I've just struggled with the tension of telling the historical narrative and then inserting my own thoughts at times, because if you listen to Blue Baby's Pink, it was all my thoughts. And so I want to have opinions here, but at the same time, I don't want to get in the way of the story. So it's been kind of tough. Another question, what's one thing you would do differently so far? Tons of things, honestly. The first that comes to mind, my delivery in the early episodes was just way too fast. So I really tried to get better about doing more deliberate pacing and giving the listener time to keep up. Will the Forsyth County history continue? You better believe it. Episode 11 was set in Forsyth County. 12 and 13 will also be there. Lots of drama coming out of Forsyth County, so buckle up. I don't know what this is about. The question is, I just want to say your North Alabama accent when you say Forsyth is, quote, adorbs. It's not a question, this is a comment. It's true, I'm from North Alabama. I suppose it's true I have an accent of some kind. I don't really know how I'm saying Forsyth, that's funny. Maybe I'm saying Forsyth. How do you say it? If I'm saying it wrong, let me know. I got cut off, but that's it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all the positivity and encouragement you've sent my way. If you've got feedback, we would love to hear it. We are always looking to improve and get better. Happy all the things, sending you all the love. You're awesome. Bye.